Welcome to VoiceBootcamp, a global name in unified communication. Hello, my name is Faisal Khan, CEO and founder of VoiceBootcamp.com. In this particular video series, I'm going to show you how to deploy Cisco Unified Contact Center Enterprise 10.5 with CVP integrations. Now, before we can start installing contact center components, we need to prepare the Windows 2008 server with the necessary updates and configuration so that the contact center enterprise installation goes smoothly. The topology that we're going to work on is where you have quite a bit of servers in your network with a couple of voice gateways, phones, and a cloud environment. So here we have an example, a flat network with site A and site B, so that's two separate Windows 2008 server. We have a call manager server. We have CVP and potentially PG installed on one box. We have CVP and PGB for site B. We have Cisco FNAS for agent to use to log in and accept calls. We have CCMP, which is management portal for managing the system. And then we have Cisco Unified IC, which is intelligence center, or more for reporting purposes. We have social miner for email management. We have Cisco SIP proxy server, and then we have Cisco router that is acting as voice gateway, VXML gateway, as well as PSTN gateway. We do have a PSTN phone so that you can send calls and receive calls from the PSTN network into our environment. We have two agent phone, and you can always register more agent phone from your laptop remotely over the VPN cloud that we're going to have. Now, the site A and site B has actually four different network. We have one network that is representing the private normal network. We have private high for high priority traffic, and then we have a public normal for normal traffic to contact center enterprise to the public site, and then we have public high, which is for high priority traffic. Each one of these network must be associated with the proper naming conventions and a DNS and host name mapping. If the host name does not match to the proper IP address, then what will happen is your contact center enterprise services could crash. The call manager, all these servers has been installed the base config. So the Windows server is just simply Windows. It has all the updates necessary from Microsoft Update Server, and it also being configured with basic security and the password. Now I'm going to walk you through how each one of these servers are customized and ready for this. We do not have an Active Directory yet ready, so we have to configure the Active Directory. All these servers are running in a virtualized environment. This is our virtual machine, vCenter, where rack 1, I have all these servers or instances are running with the necessary hardware, memory, and CPU. We also use this application called Remote Desktop Manager. You can get a free copy from their website, and where all these services I can access from an RDP session from a central location. So for example, this is my Active Directory, my CCMP, which is management portal, Cisco FNAS that goes through a web page, which is a web server. I have CVPA, CVPB, we have ICMA and ICMB. And then of course we have Call Manager, which is basically a Linux based solution that you can access through the HTTPS. Anyway, as we add more servers, we will be adding that into our list, and we will start showing you how to customize that. So let's take a look at the Active Directory. So right now Active Directory is basically a Windows Server 2008, which was installed just like any normal Windows installation. We have, if I go to the server manager, we have the computer name defined as pod1 AD for Active Directory, and pod1 is our rack 1, and then the domain name is associated with the pod1.com. Now I have not made any changes to the system, because obviously the goal is to show you how to configure the system step by step in the next few type of labs. On the system parameters, you may want to make sure that the computer name and the domain name is properly defined. Right now they are part of work group, so therefore no Active Directory configured. Now for lab environment, I will enable a remote desktop client so that I can access this from remotely, and I also make sure that under my security information configure IE security, I will turn these features off. Now of course for production you may want to keep this in check so that you have extra layer of security. Because of his lab, I also disable my firewall as it caused problem for receiving traffic, so I will go ahead and disable that feature as well. As you can see, the firewall is off in all cases. Okay, now one of the important thing is the network setting. So in the network settings, for Active Directory there is not much to do. You just have one network address and adapter, as you can see from here. It's pretty straightforward. IP address, DNS, and all sorts of stuff. I disabled IP version 6, and as you can see it is the IP address of my Active Directory with the DNS that is I'm pointing to it itself at this stage. Okay, so once this part is done, now one other thing I do like to do in from a training perspective is create couple of host name. I will be needing some host name in order to deploy the site A and site B. For example, public high, public normal, and so I'll go to Windows, System 32, go to drivers, go to etc host file. Now in order by default Microsoft does not allow you to edit the host file. You want to right click, go to properties, security, user, make sure they're all full control. Again, for production this is not a good idea. So once you open this in Notepad, you notice that I have bunch of host name and IP address configured, even though I have DNS server. These are pointing to different servers and their I guess arbitrary name that I pointed to. One other thing that I need when I'm configuring ICM site A and site B is that they will ask me for network interface name for normal traffic, high traffic for public site, and normal traffic and high traffic for private site. So I define different names and pointing to their IP addresses. Now to keep it simple, I can just simply point to the IP address as well. So what I would do, I will copy this to all the servers, Windows servers that you have, so at least that way you should be able to access them regardless of which server you're sitting in. Alright, so that's the contact center Active Directory. Now ICM Enterprise, it's a little bit different because it too also have all the computer name, DNS, everything set up, but it does also have multiple network card. As you can see, I have one network card is called R1 PRV high. That is my private high, private normal with a different subnet. I have public high, public normal, which is a different subnet. Now these public high, public normal, they are for different type of traffic. If you have a priority traffic, it will use the public high, and if you have a normal traffic, then it will use the public normal. You gotta make sure that all these IP addresses are routable and pingable. Well, they don't have to be pingable, but at least they need to be, because most cases pinging might be disabled in many network. So again, make sure that remote desktop client is enabled, and make sure that all the, now one other thing I like to is very important, you go to the view network connection and you see how you have 4 network address, high, normal, so and so. While you're here, what you're going to do is press the Alt key and you'll see a menu comes up. You go to the advanced menu, go to advanced settings. there you gotta make sure that the binding order of your network card are properly set. For example, I have the public normal as the highest binding order first. That's my main interface. I have the public high next, private normal for next, followed by private high. So it is very important that your binding to orders are correct, because if you don't, then installation might end up choosing the wrong IP address to bind its core components. Okay, once that part is done, I do have each one of these servers, pub and sub, they do have multiple CD-ROM drive. The first CD-ROM that you can see is my Windows. Second CD-ROM that you see is my Contact Center Enterprise. Third CD-ROM is a CTI OS client. Fourth one is my SQL server. Alright, so that's pretty much all I am going to need for this server, and I will repeat exactly the same on side ICM side B, so as CVP and CVP B. Now Cisco Finas is already installed. Obviously when you go to the web page, there's some customization that we have to do, and then we will do that when we go to that particular section. Alright, so this is basically what you need to do. So you need to make sure that all the Windows Server has a proper host name, proper network host file configured, proper IP address, the server name, the domain name, all must be configured properly in order for this to work without any major problem. So that's pretty much it. We're gonna move on to the next lab, which will be installing Active Directory.